There is a place in the state of Georgia where no criminal ever wants to go. That place is called Alto State Prison, formerly Lee Arundel in Alto, Georgia. If you come here, you surely won't make it out.
Stay tuned for Tales from the Toe.
Diddy Escapes, the Combs gang rides again. Chapter 1, The Astonishing Arrest. Sean Diddy Combs sat in a cold gray cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, New York. The music mogul, whose life had been an epic rise to fame and power, now found himself in the middle of a legal storm. Arrested on serious charges that range from S-word trafficking to alleged ties to criminal enterprises, Diddy's future looked bleak. The public was stunned, and within hours of his arrest, a media frenzy had erupted. Paparazzi swarmed outside the jail, cameras flashing like wildfire, reporters clamoring for any scrap of information they could get. Diddy had always been a symbol of success, a figure who defined an era of hip-hop culture and entrepreneurship. But now the empire he had built was in danger of crumbling. However, it wasn't just the media and his fans that were shocked. It was his family. Diddy's three sons, Christian, Justin, and Quincy, were left reeling by their father's sudden incarceration. In particular, Christian, aka King Combs, felt the weight of the situation heavier than anyone else. One of the possible charges their father could get was rooted in something Christian could never forget: rifles found stashed and at Diddy's mansion. These sticks were weapons that Christian brought home to hold for some of his Bloods buddies out in Los Angeles. Therefore, he was the one responsible for them being found by the feds, not his dad. But of course, he didn't mention this during his detainment on that fateful day in March 2024. Chapter 2, Time to Do Something. Christian sat in his penthouse apartment in Los Angeles, staring at the headlines flashing across his phone screen. Sean Diddy Combs, arrested in New York, trafficking, and other criminal charges pending. His heart pounded and a deep feeling of guilt settled in his gut. Those damn illegal guns, he hadn't thought it would come to this. He'd stashed them in a locked room in his father's mansion, thinking they'd be safe and that no one would find out. But someone did. His brothers Justin and Quincy were on their way to meet him. They were all shaken, unsure of what to do next. But Christian knew one thing: he couldn't just sit around while their father was locked up. They needed a plan, and fast. The door to his apartment swung open and in walked Justin and Quincy, their faces etched with concern. "Bro, this is crazy," Justin said, pacing the room. "How did this shit even happen?" Christian didn't respond immediately, his mind racing through possibilities. Finally, he spoke. "I don't know, but we gotta save Dad," King Combs said quietly, staring out the window. Quincy's eyes widened. "Yeah, but how in hell are we gonna do that?" "I've been thinking about a plan, y'all," Christian muttered. "I know some people in Cali, some Bloods. I've helped them out a few times. And they owe me. I didn't think it'd ever blow back on us like this, but a couple of them niggas is cool with some Bloods in Brooklyn." There was silence in the room for a moment. Then Justin, ever the clever one, stopped pacing and faced his brother. "So what are you saying? You want us to hire them niggas to help us get Dad out?" Christian nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think I do, bro." Chapter 3, A Dangerous Connection. King Combs' ties to the Bloods ran deeper than his brothers knew. Living in LA for years, he'd built connections through parties, business deals, and favors, some legal, some not. One of those connections was high-ranking member of the Bloods, a man known as Bloody Gary, who controlled large parts of South Central's illegal gun market. Gary had been instrumental in supplying 80% of his gang's weapons for the past decade, and Christian had found himself working with the 51-year-old gangster for protection, especially after the family's profile rose on the West Coast. And Bloody Gary owed Christian a favor, several in fact, and now Christian was prepared to cash in. He picked up his phone and called the 5'11" pot-bellied man, his voice steady despite the anxiety building inside him. Yo, BG, it's King. There was a pause on the other end before Gary's gravelly voice responded.
Combs. You all right, young boy? I heard about your pups.
Yeah, it's bad, Christian said, glancing his brothers who were watching him intently, listening on speakerphone. Look, I need to call in that favor. We need help. Red let out a slow exhale.
All right, what you need?
I need some help out in Brooklyn. Connections. People who can help us get my dad out of this bullshit so we can slide out to an island or some shit, bro. The cops found them sticks I was holding, and it's not looking good. I know you got some people out there in New York. There was silence for a moment, and then Gary spoke again, his tone more serious.
You know what you're asking, right? This ain't just a favor. You're getting into some deep shit, boy.
I know, Christian said, his voice unwavering. But this my dad, I'm all in. Chapter 4, The Brooklyn Connection. A few days later, Christian, Justin, and Quincy found themselves in Brooklyn, New York. Although all three were born in NY, they spent more time in places like Miami and LA, so New York really wasn't familiar to them. Bloody Gary had connected them to a local chapter of the Bloods, who operated in the borough of Brooklyn, a crew led by a man named Blam Blam, known for running pill operations and having inside contacts at the MDC jail. The meeting took place in a tiny-ass projects apartment in Marcy Houses, far from the prying eyes of the media. The Combs brothers, all wearing masks so as not to be recognized, entered the apartment, their nerves on edge as the smell of fried chicken permeated the small space as Blam Blam, sexy baby mama, stood at the tiny stove wearing a Pop Smoke t-shirt and panties as she practiced her culinary skills. Blam Blam, a tall, 6', 2" lean man with sharp brown eyes, greeted them with a nod, flanked by two members of his gang. You Christian, right? Trey asked, eyeing him with a mix of suspicion and curiosity as King removed his mask. Yeah, Christian said. Gary told me you could help us. Blam smirked. Gary said you were good people, but breaking your pops out of MDC, that shit is gonna cost y'all lil niggas, son. We already know, bro, but we got whatever it is that it takes, Quincy chimed in. We just got to get him out of there before things get worse. Blam Blam scratched his chin. We definitely can help y'all niggas, but it's going to cost you. We talking about 5 M's, yo. The setup in MDC runs deep. There are a few guards on the payroll, but you got to move smart. One wrong move, and they'll have all of us locked up for 300 months or some wild shit like that. Christian nodded. Whatever it takes, bro. Blam glanced at his goons and then back at the brothers. Okay, we'll formulate a plan. I'll get y'all the layout of the prison. A few guards you can trust. From there, we'll see what else we can pull. But you gotta be ready for anything, cause once this starts, there's no turning back. Chapter 5, The Inside Man. Okay, y'all, we gotta shut this thing down now. But check out part 2 by hitting the clip when it pops up on the screen at the very end of this video. And if y'all fucking with the channel or just like this story so far, go ahead and tap that like button and the subscribe one as well so you can see what else the channel has to entertain you. Thank y'all.